in such a simple language, he took the entire audience. Really is a great thing. And though in simple words, the content of the Constitution he has illustrated. So I take cue from them and say some words. Dear friends, what is the content of justice that depends upon the concept of democracy you have? And the Constitution and the justice, we just can't discuss without reference to our democracy. So what exactly you mean by the expression democracy? Normally, our students, even school students, know that what is democracy. They say, here democracy means it is a form of administration, form of governance, and the prime thing is periodic election and formation of government by the majority group, party or combination. And of course, they may also say something more, that is, the prime thing in democracy is supremacy of the parliament or legislative assembly. That means supremacy of legislation. So think for a while. If this is the alpha and omega of democracy, that is periodic election and formation of government by the majority group, majority political party, think for some time, what will be the consequence? By using the same measure of democracy, you can form a government which is not following democratic principle. It can be an authoritarian government or rather a fascist government. It is not a dream, it is not a hypothesis. It's a practical reality. It happened, it is happening. That is the first thing. In the world, other than India, it happened. In Germany, only through democracy, Hitler came into power and went to fascism or Nazism. So the concept of rule of law and democracy is not an innocuous concept. It is not value neutral. Using the very same democracy, you can move to something other than democracy. So dear friends, there should be something more than this formal aspects of democracy. What are these substantial aspects? Substantial aspect of democracy, it is there, and that is the core of the democracy, not this formal aspect. So what are the substantial aspects? Prime thing is equality. Without the concept of equality, you can't think of democracy. If your opinion has got one value and another person's opinion has got lesser value, democracy cannot sustain. So also tolerance. The fundamental thing is tolerance, like equality. If you are not able to tolerate others' opinion, whether it is minority or hostile to your opinion, democracy cannot sustain. And more important is secularism. If your opinion is valued based on your community or religion, you are out from democracy. And in every situation, human rights and civil rights should be insulated against state oppression. So if these prime things are not in your formal celebrated democracy, it is not democracy. And of course, it happens, naturally it happens. So what is the remedy? When there is conflict between the formal aspect of democracy and the substantial core aspects of democracy, who will decide exactly the purpose and mission of constitution and constitutional court is to resolve the dispute between the core substantial aspect of democracy and the formal aspect of democracy. If the formal aspect of democracy deny or negate the substantial content of democracy, there should be an impartial institution to resolve that dispute, and that is the constitutional courts. How the constitutional court conduct the litmus text, or there should be a touchstone for testing that, and that touchstone is constitution. So that is why in our democracy, the constitutional courts and the constitution become most important institutions, and that is why we give the power of judicial review to the constitutional courts. How they conduct the Lisbon test? That is judicial review. Suppose a majority government with a brute majority decides, just like now a new criminal law is there. Suppose in a new criminal law or tomorrow you are introducing a penal provision. A boy out of acute starvation robs something from a shop, a roti. If you impose death penalty for such a crime, definitely as per our concept of democracy can, because parliament or legislative assembly is supreme. Nobody can say that you can't pass such a legislation. And that was our law earlier. You can pass any law if there is sufficient majority. But no. That is why our courts evolved a principle. If legislation is manifestly arbitrary and restriction is most disproportionate, that law, whether passed by brute majority, it will be unconstitutional. So that is the power of judicial review. Your executive order or law passed by the legislature or the rule passed by the executive can be subjected to judicial review by the constitutional courts. Based on what? Based on our constitution. That is the text told. If this power is not given to the constitutional courts, the situation will be as I stated earlier. Using your simple brute majority, you can pass any law, and that law will annihilate even our constitution. Because the basic concept, the basic structure concept and judicial review, it's evolved. That basic structure concept was not there earlier. So everybody thought that, we thought that, yes, parliament is supreme. They can pass any law, and of course, it realized only later. If that much power is given to the parliament, definitely the very same constitution will be abrogated, annihilated, and our concept of India will not be there. So this is the basic concept of justice as per our constitution. So that's why we say the fundamental core of the preamble, fundamental core of our constitution is fraternity. If you are going to deny fraternity, you can't implement equality, you can't implement secularism, you can't tolerate others. Tolerance not only to minority community, tolerance in every sense. Tolerance to minority opinion. It can be religious minority, only opinion minority, linguistic minority, sexual minority. All this, of course, they have got a role in the democracy, and tolerance is the concept to tolerate that. So if you are violating this core principle, democracy cannot sustain. That is why we are so anxious. That is why we say that to sustain the constitution, to protect the constitution, to preserve the constitution, the only remedy is we should be alert. Otherwise, I say, because we now understand that Constitution is the